Hello, beautiful people. Be most welcome to today's episode of COVID Around the World. This show is all about bringing real people from different backgrounds and different countries and ask them to share to you what are their views and perspectives about this pandemic. I'm VH, and here's our guest of today.
That's a very deep question, and I like it. First, I like to stress out that I'm not an oil man, I'm an energy man. I heard that people are really looking forward to be able to go back to the hairdresser, but it's not my concern.
Apparently, it's the thing that everyone is looking for is to get a haircut.
Yeah, that's what I heard, but I don't see the big thing about it. Well, this is a question you shouldn't ask a Dane, because Denmark, Norway, and Sweden are like in many ways very similar. We're like siblings, so that means we care a lot for each other, but we also quarrel a lot. We also fight a lot, right? So it's really painful for me to say something nice about Sweden. I'm 44. I live in the center of Copenhagen. That is the capital of Denmark. I'm originally an economist, and now I work as a headhunter, and it's the best job in the world.
Best job in the world is to be a podcaster. So Jakob, tell us, like, how in Denmark, what have been the governmental measures over there?
We have had a lockdown which has not been so strict, to be honest. It has been public officers are sent home, and private sector is encouraged to send people home as well, which most have done. And they've been given some aid packages for the private sector. Some companies are forced to shut down restaurants, cafes, and barber shops, and I don't go there that often myself, but I heard that people are really looking forward to be able to go back to the hairdresser, but it's not my concern.
Apparently, it's the thing that everyone is looking for is to get a haircut.
Yeah, that's what I heard, but I don't see the big thing about it.
Well, I think the virus is gonna really understand it and say, okay, I understand. Our haircuts is haircuts, so you're allowed to go. You're allowed to go. So as I understand, like there's a slice of the industry, like the ones that are in contact directly with the customer, that were forced to shut down, and other industries that were advised to work in a different manner, or to either to shut down or to have a percentage of the workers home.
Yes, supermarkets are advised to only let one shopper in at a time. For, let's say, if in my family, it should only be one family member shopping. And then there should be a social distance of 2 meters in the supermarket. And there are like fine lines on the floor, and then people stand there and put gloves on before they touch anything, and that's so it's a very weak measure. So people are still allowed out. There's no quarantines. It's
Are the borders open?
Borders are closed. So that's or it means it's not closed for Danish people. We can still go in and out, but foreigners cannot come.
Okay, so there's a control, and you just show your ID and you can go in and out.
Yeah, you can. So, and that's so a lot of people in Copenhagen is very close to Sweden. There's a small slice of water between Denmark and Sweden, and that's a bridge. It takes 15 minutes to cross that bridge, and then
the biggest bridge in the world, correct?
Yeah, I think the Japanese built one that was 10 meters
in
longer.
Europe,
just
biggest bridge in Europe. Okay.
Yeah, of course. But so a lot of people they are from Copenhagen. They like to take the break over to Malmö, where they still can go out and eat and drink and party, because there are hardly any restrictions in Sweden.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. You mentioned the financial aid. So the financial aids are for the companies that are closed and they had to send the workers home? How does that work, and how are people reacting to those aids?
It's actually for all companies, but the aid packages are different. So if you're because everyone is affected. So if you're closing down forced to close down your company, you will get a very good compensation package. Or I think it's all of your fixed cost you're being reimbursed, and some for the labor costs. The same goes for other companies. If you refrain from sacking people or firing people and keep your workers, you will get a contribution to keep them on your payroll. But the weird thing is that those who get the contribution to keep on the payroll are not allowed to work. So you send them home, and then you get a paycheck for not having them to work.
So they only get the compensation if they don't work, if they don't make the production.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are they getting already the compensations, or is something that is going to take some time?
It's been they're getting it. They're getting it, and so there's several steps. There's one compensation for the labor force, and then there is for lost turnover. So you look at what was your tax reports last year in the same period of time, and what is it this year. And then if you're reduced with 30% or more, you will get a compensation.
Okay. And so are people favorable? Are they in support of the government? Are they happy with it?
Yeah, the government is extremely popular at the moment. And I think that's the same picture in many other countries, but also here we have a new government that was elected last summer, and it has almost never been such a popular government in history.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And what about yourself? Like, what has been the changes to your daily life?
Well, I don't go that often to my office, so I stay in my home.
I know the haircut didn't make any difference for you, but the rest.
Well,
you work from home, yeah.
Yeah, I'm home, and my partner, she's also at home. So we have had a lot of time together, and that can go like two ways. It can go that way or that way. But we are like really happy with each other's company. So that's been a good change, and eat more, better, and I don't know. I think the biggest change is when you're bored, instead of go out or do something, I go look in the fridge and see if there's something in there, right?
Okay. So you're putting a little bit of weight.
Yeah.
You work with companies hiring people, like you work directly with people that are unemployed. What's your perception of the impact of the pandemic in this field?
Yeah, I mainly recruit for shipping companies or for the shipping sector, and that's a good sector to be in because the ships they will keep sailing no matter what. They're simply so expensive, so they're kept on the water at almost all costs. The labor costs are really insignificant compared to the asset prices and the asset values. And when the ships are sailing, people are needed to make them sail. So this industry is still running. I do feel that some people are taking it easy with hiring, and other companies are using this excuse to get rid of the employees they were tired of already. But it's not a manpower problem. And as a headhunter and a recruiter, this is a dream scenario, because when I'm recruiting for a trading house in Geneva at the moment, and it's so hard to get to talk to these profiles. They're always busy, always in and out of meetings. They can't talk because their boss is around the corner or a colleague. But now everyone is at home. They always pick up the phone. It's fantastic, easy.
Yeah. So you don't want this to end.
Well, I just want I like the candidates to stay at home, but
Fair enough. Fair
so
enough.
so in that sense, my job is very easy.
So I today I saw on social media few beautiful pictures of kids in I would say public parks learning, having their classes of
Hmm.
primary school. I didn't fact check if this was accurate information or not. Um, Maybe if you have knowledge, please tell us if this is happening, what's happening with the schools. But overall, I would like to know what are the next steps in Denmark. Is there when is everything going back to normal? Let's call it that way.
There has been we haven't really had a hard lockdown here. It has been a lockdown, and people has hated it and have not been able to be around family. But people are beginning to calm down. Schools have been closed for a while, and now they've been reopened from kindergarten to the fifth grade, which is a surprise to most people because everyone was expecting it to be the other way around, that the bigger kids would go to school so they could do the exams this summer and move on. So that's a bit of a surprise. We only know that in a week from now there will be a new strategy, but it's not been informed us yet what it will be. So it's probably going to be announced on Saturday or Friday, and what we're expecting is that bigger kids can go back to school. It's also not allowed to be 10 people or more together in the same place. And this is, a very German-inspired country. So, autumn was signed. So we have had police officers drawing squares in public spaces. So in each square, maximum 10 people. So that's
Yes,
so.
Very German of them.
Yeah, good measurements.
So you mentioned Sweden. It's very easy to travel to Sweden through the bridge. So my question is, what is the perception of people? Because Sweden has been in the mouths of everyone. I don't know if the world, but at least in Europe, everyone is talking about Sweden.
Right.
We saw a country like the UK who wanted to implement the strategy of herd immunity, and then that backfired on them. From Sweden, we've been having reports on both ways that things are not going so well, or they are going extra well. What is the perception, in your opinion, of Danish towards Sweden?
Well, this is a question you shouldn't ask a Dane, because Denmark, Norway, and Sweden are, like, in many ways very similar. We're like siblings. So that means we care a lot for each other, but we also quarrel a lot. We also fight a lot, right?
Mhm.
So it's really, really, really painful for me to say something nice about Sweden. But the perception is it depends on who you ask, but my perception is that they are doing quite well in Sweden, except they've had quite a lot of incidents in nurseries and nursing homes for elderly people, and that's bringing up the death numbers. So if they had been a little bit better taking care of their older people, I think the strategy would have been like smack on. But this is also I have to give a lot of credit to Sweden for having the strength to go their own way and adopting their own strategy against the entire world. And I mean, the thing is, it's so easy now. It's been some weeks now, a few months, and we're all getting a little bit smarter about what this virus is about. But imagine like 2 months ago, where this was hitting us, having the stamina not to do what everyone else was doing. I gotta say that's really well done.
and I am curious. I'm really curious. I would really love to talk with someone in the hospitals or some in the nursery home to understand, because the cultures are different, right? When I was in Denmark and when I was in countries like Finland and Sweden, it's way easier to make social distancing than in a country like Portugal, that people touch each
That's
other. It's
true.
impossible to not touch and not hug and not visit family members. Even like if we were allowed to visit family members in nurseries, and or yeah, we do. It's just very, very, very hard not to touch each other.
I think that goes for all the Nordic countries. It's a little bit, we already had social distance for many
Exactly.
years.
So you already have that. So no worries. Yeah, Sweden is right.
And I think another difference with Sweden is it's a huge country. It's very, very big. I
Yeah,
mean,
there's a
it's
lot of
not
space.
really noted because it's so far up on the map, but it's really big. And there are not that many people in it, considering how big it is. So a lot of people are isolated very easily. You know, they just need to take care of when the weekly truck come in and deliver goods, that they stay away from that guy, and then they're all fine.
Mm-hmm. Is there any are there news? Are there any notice about the system? I mean the medical system to be handling it fine?
From it seems like both countries are doing quite well. In Denmark, we there's a number every day of how many people are hospitalized, how many are being intubated, and how many have recovered. So what everyone is fearing is that you need to intubate more people than you have capacity to,
Mm-hmm.
and the capacity is not that big. It's like, I think it can is around 1,200, 1,400 people, and we're not near that number. I think it's the maximum has been 200 people.
Oh yeah, quite far
So
still. Mm-hmm.
so in that sense, you can say if you believe in the immunity, we all need to be exposed to this disease. We're doing this slow approach.
Yeah.
Maybe too slow. I don't know. It depends on
Yeah, it's
what you
very
believe
hard
in.
to know, like if it's a little bit too not so slow, then the system can collapse. It's very, these things are, I can imagine how hard can it be just to create a strategy with not even enough data. I mean, I'm a data analyzer myself, and
Right.
a small percentage here can at the end of the day create, because it's exponential. Whatever
Yeah.
measure you take, whatever thing someone does, then it's exponential. And I think there's a little bit of unfairness to how people are reacting and how much they create their opinion with, like, we have just such limited amount of knowledge.
Yeah, that's the thing. And when a new measurement is being put into use, it takes a minimum 3 weeks before you can see an effect.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
beginning of an effect.
Yeah.
So that's also you know, but I mean, everyone has been talking about Sweden. It's gonna explode. It's gonna explode. It's gonna the train is gonna fall over the cliff. And so far, you know,
So far, it hasn't. Well,
yeah, they're still
the
on track.
latest news is also that the virus is not being as deadly, or as the ability of the virus to spread is not as much as we were expecting, which is great. I mean, it's better to be safe than sorry. I believe that's at least it's my approach. All right, I have one more question to you, Jakob. I might be naive, and I might be a little bit on this one. I do see the world now with a huge opportunity to have some time to think what kind of world we want, what is normal, what is not normal. There's a lot of memes saying this was the normal who led us to this, and might lead us to worse. And the one of the issues that we have to be concerned as well is the climate change. And you worked a lot of time with oil, so you might have something to say around this topic as well. But on the macro level, I would really love that people as a civil society would rethink how we want to be governed, how we want to govern ourselves, what is important to us, our values. Do you think that it's actually a golden opportunity? If yes, in which areas, and if no, why?
Okay, that's a very deep question, and I like it. First, I like to stress out that I'm not an oil man, I'm an energy man. And I think the demand for energy will keep rising for a long time. I am not as optimistic as you are, unfortunately. I don't think we will see that big changes. People are always people and have always been people. And over the last 100,000 years, we have built what we call a civilization. But underneath, we're still the same barbarians as we always have been. We just do a little bit more to civilize ourselves. I was hoping that this time could bring us enlightenment and bring people closer together. And in a sense, it has done. I don't think children has been so happy for a long time as they are right now being with their families. The parents is a different matter, but the children are happy. But you also see where the world should reunite. Instead, everyone is like, we're closing our borders, we take care of our own problems, and then you guys down there, you can handle your own problems. Instead of taking the approach, we are all on this planet, we're all in the same boat, and it really doesn't matter if you're Egyptian, Italian, Portuguese, Slovak. Okay, maybe it's a problem if you're Portuguese. but it's a very nationalistic approach that's around the globe, except Sweden. Sweden still have open borders. I think that's very sad, and I think it's going to have a negative effect on unions that I think is very necessary, like the European Union. I think this is a huge blow to the European Union. It simply doesn't work for this. So where we should go closer and see if we have so much in common, we tend to focus on what makes us different. So that's my not so optimistic view on this. I'm sorry.
Also very, very valid points. One point that I haven't been seen a discussion is exactly the borders. One thing I think that I mean, for me, it's very important is how we want to be managed as a town, as a group of people, as a country, as a federation, but the size of it, like when we close borders, which borders do we close? Our district, our region, etc., etc. So thank you very much, and thank you for opening this topic of discussion as well for us.
Thank you for the invitation. Take care. Stay healthy and safe.
What about you? What are your opinions on the matter? Do you have any experience you would like to share with us? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like what you see, you can support me by hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and help me becoming a full-time YouTuber by donating through the link in the video description. Thank you, and see you in the next video. That was a very quick change of scenarios. Where are you?
So, this is Jakob from Copenhagen. I'm in a very central place of Copenhagen next to my house. It's just after work hours. It looks almost normal here in the street, despite the corona situation. So, except the cafes and restaurants are closed. No one's in there. But people are still in the streets. So that's.
Was that police car after you? Should you run or?
I am running.
Okay, so it's a normal life, people without mask and businesses closed. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You see a few masks here and there, mainly Asians.
Okay, I'll let you run home so before the police catches you.
Okay, take care, Ugo,
Thank you.
and
Bye
have a
bye.
good one. Bye bye.